next, we have a panel that's focused on women in cybersecurity. About a month ago, I wrote a piece about our inability to assess the risk of potential cybersecurity incidents. And I looked at some of the psychological factors and cognitive biases that come into play. And one of the things that I've learned was that teams that are more diverse tend to be better at assessing risk. And here at DefCamp, one of the goals is to help create a diverse and supportive community. And if you are here with us today, I'm sure that this is something that you're thinking a lot about. We'll hear more about ways to encourage diverse voices and make our community more inclusive during the next panel, moderated by Valentine Meret.
Yes. Hi, I'm here.
Okay, happy to see you. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic. Why is it important to you to talk about this topic? Why do you think we should spend more time reflecting on making women more powerful within the cybersecurity community?
Oh, it's a tough question,
I
but
know.
I think it's important to more to put women forward, asking tough cybersecurity questions and just tackling cybersecurity challenges with women on the front because of representation. I think it can inspire some younger generations to strive for these roles. Not only women, but just show more diverse, diverse people that actually do some hard work in cybersecurity and not just be there to be some kind of token person on a poster or something. That's I think that's more what I would say about this. I have hopes that it will change, that the ratios will change, because I've already seen a lot of teenage girls highly interested in cybersecurity. So I'm confident that in a couple of years we won't need this anymore as much as we do now. But in the meantime, we should indeed put women forward and ask the tough questions and show that women and other diverse communities can also do some hard cybersecurity.
I was just wanting to ask you this specific thing because you mentioned teenagers. How were things when you grew up, and whether the number of women that had jobs in science, technology, medicine, economics was something that influenced you in choosing a career in this field?
So when I was in high school, being a gamer, I was the only girl in the circles. It was it was for guys, for young white guys with glasses. That was that was computers. That's what it was for. But I think TV helped me a lot. Some sci-fi series actually that showed women as scientists and stuff, that helped a lot. So that's why I think that representation is just a big motivator for young girls, to have someone that they can look up to, even if it's not a real person. For me, it was Samantha Carter in Stargate SG-1, but for others, it may be the next CISO of Avast. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important to see that there are people like you who are doing a great job, and you just don't have to be alone in all this. And we talk a lot here in Romania about having systems that help foster talents that are diverse. And in order to grow and be a professional, it helps a lot if you're surrounded by people who support you. So that's it from my part. Please enjoy this panel, and hopefully I'm going to write down a few wonderful ideas that everyone could apply to make this community better. Break a leg.
Thanks. I'll take over from here. I want to see people's faces, so just changing my view. So welcome to this panel, the Ladies in Cybersecurity panel. My name is Valentine, as you've been introduced me already as well. I'll be the host of this panel, and we'll be diving into some tough questions about the industry and have some awesome ladies that will answer them and give their own insights. We can do a round of introductions first in a sec, and I'll leave everyone to introduce themselves because they're the best able to do that. And if the audience wants to pitch in at any moment with questions, feel free to do so in the chat, and I'll try to monitor the chat and answer these questions, or at least ask the questions to the panelists. So without further ado, let's go right into it. So I'll start with Graziella. Am I pronouncing this right?
Yes, it is very well, Graziella. Or you can call me Grace. It's much easier for non-Italian or Romanian speakers. Hi, ladies. I'm pleased to be part of this panel, and hi, everybody. 2 words about myself. I'm the president of ISAC Romania chapter for the last 5 years. It was a coincidence taking this position, but this led me to a fantastic journey or an unexpected journey until now. In parallel, I have some sessions in Academic of Economic Studies where I'm an associate teacher, and I'm trying to share some knowledge around IT audit, at least an introduction, some basic information about this. And in my day-to-day job or my day-to-day life, I am a business ethics and compliance officer in a pharma industry, and I'm a part of the leadership team. And of course, I think the toughest job I have is I'm a mother of a toddler, 3 years old, and it is funny and exhausting at the same time. This is about me.
Thank you. It sounds like you have a lot to do on your plate.
Yes, true. It feels like this.
Next, I have Ljubica, if I'm pronouncing this right.
Yeah, you did it great. Thank you. Greetings from Skopje. I'm Ljubica Pendaroska, privacy and data protection expert and consultant. Currently, I'm leading Women for Cyber North Macedonia chapter, which is part of one of the national chapters of Women for Cyber Foundation from Brussels, which was founded directly by the European Cybersecurity Organization. What I'm doing during my more than 14 years of expertise in data protection and privacy, and in the recent few years in the field of empowering women in cybersecurity in different areas, is first of all to raise the awareness is a key question seen from my side, both for the society and for the individuals as well, and also to lead as an example, following my personal motto, inspire and let yourself be inspired. That's why I will raise here one question at the beginning, not a question, but a thought to think about and to maybe to talk about more later in our discussion, related to different kinds of mentorship programs. I'm also a mentor right now to few young girls in the field of cybersecurity, different areas of cybersecurity, but also the importance of role models. Because what I find very important and at the same time, in a way, in a crisis during this time, is the exact role models, female role models, which are going to serve as a direction, a kind of direction to all the girls and young women who want to start their careers in cybersecurity, or also to those who want to go deeper, and especially to those which want to get higher on the scale, because we know although the percentage of women in cybersecurity is around, depending on the statistics and the analysis, but around 22 to 25%, the decision-making and executive positions in cybersecurity led by women are even lower, around 80% in, for instance, in the European Union countries. And that's why I'm dedicating my activities mostly on how to inspire women to see what are the benefits for them joining the cybersecurity, instead of only work with society and companies to see the benefits from having more women on cybersecurity stage. Because first of all, we need to inspire women themselves, as someone mentioned, to portray differently someone working in cybersecurity, instead of being a male, a boy or a man in front of with glasses, with us working in front of something very boring and working in front of several screens. That's it from me at the beginning. Thanks.
Raising the right questions, I think. Thank you. Next, I have Dimitra.
Yes, hello. I'm really happy to be part of this panel with these amazing professionals I look up to. My experience in cybersecurity started a bit over 6 years ago. I worked my way through the trenches, from working in SOC to building security services from scratch, and ended up securing stacks with the latest technology. My current role is that of the threat hunter at CrowdStrike. I work in the endpoint platform content department of CrowdStrike, and my main role is to follow and stop as fast as I can any attackers, adversaries that target Linux-based infrastructures, and switching my focus again to containers as well. As everyone has stated, I do believe that it is important for women, and not only women, for everyone to understand and believe that with hard work and with dedication and passion for this industry, anyone can make it. I think I'm a pretty good example of that, because my BA is in political sciences, so I basically had to work from scratch to where I am. So I really hope that my example will encourage young ladies, or not only, that are thinking about switching to cybersecurity to do so.
That's a very noble goal. I host this community in the Netherlands of women in cybersecurity, and we have so many women, but also just random people who come from different backgrounds. We also have someone in political sciences, coincidentally, and they feel so insecure that they will never make it into the field, that it's really nice to see other ladies who come from completely different, opposite backgrounds. One of my top hacker friends is from marketing, of all places, and yeah, so it's really nice to see that. I think we're missing the last planned speaker, so Andrada, you can introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to step in. I'm Andrada. I'm a technology journalist. I was born in Transylvania, but moved here to Bucharest 15 years ago, I think. I'm super excited to be talking about women in security, because I think I've written 4 or 5 stories on this topic so far. And I do feel that in Romania, we are fortunate to have to be, I think, the second EU country when it comes to the percentage of women who are employed in technology. I'm a technology journalist, and when I started, there were only men covering technology in Romania, and things were a little bit different. I was called Harry Potter because I wear glasses, and no one thought that I could do this job. But I did it. I'm a former Night Science Journalism Fellow at MIT. I work for a radio station here in Bucharest, and I try to talk a lot about women in technology with men, because I feel that they should be part of the change. And if we are meeting and talking about this issue is one thing, but if we try to involve them, then I think the war can be won.
Yeah, that's true. It's not a war. It's a cooperative game, right? So we should all work together.
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
But yeah, I agree. So thank you for introducing yourselves. I'll just then dive right into the questions. So the questions themselves concern some cybersecurity challenges in general. Feel free to give your input, technical input or social input, anything you think that fits the answer. So the first question. So we know that the world is changing and everything is becoming so digitalized. I mean, it already is in a lot of countries that you cannot do anything if the internet is down. So cyber threats and risk are increasing and just exponentially. For you, what is the biggest security challenge you're actively tackling in your job or in your hobby life? And what advice would you give other companies who face some of these issues? So I'll start in the order of the introductions, and or you can have these discussions how you want. But I'll ask Graziella to start.
Me first. Thank you. I would use different sources for responding to the question, because as I mentioned, in my real life I'm more close to the business, and those kind of very high things like risk management and ethics and role modeling, and my job is not really related to the security part. However, I'm fortunate being part of the association of ISACA and being involved in different working groups and initiatives. I feel I'm part of this universe. I'm passionate about it, and I would go anyhow. I would go for the human part. It's not from the technical perspective. It is from many perspectives. That means what I want to say. Humans are considered as being the strongest link and the weakest link in the same time of organizations. And taking this into consideration, we can much more easily understand that, okay, defensive, we all discuss about cyber threats, and we need to build our defense in order to be prepared for any external challenge. But in the same time, the report shows us that there are a lot of miscommunications or not a lot of gaps internally, and most of them are related to human errors. So with this, I would make the connection to the education of people, both professionally and personally. And this leads us to all the reports that show us the need, which is reported for cybersecurity or information security specialists at this moment. And this need hasn't been met by the available specialists at the moment. There are a lot of reports and statistics in this regards. And this leads me to the idea of we are finding ourselves in a situation when communication awareness and that kind of unity training our organization are providing for the employees is not sufficient anymore. Then we need a culture for cybersecurity, and culture means a lot of things. And I don't know whether we shall find some time to discuss about this, but it is a practical and philosophical topic in the same time, because it is related to role modeling, it is related to trust, it is related to knowledge, it is related to education, it is related to the passion of people, and many other things. So I made some links just pointing out different topics. I'm passionate about it, about them, and we can develop them or build them later on depending on the time.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the human error. I think communication between different fields also. What I mean to say, so you have all these technical people, but you have also the management, and you have the C-level people, and you have the strategists, and they all have to communicate with each other, and they don't necessarily know how to, especially since cybersecurity is a field that involves everybody. I think that's also part of the human error, that we're not necessarily taught how to communicate on those different levels. So
and maybe sometimes how to collaborate with the others among our peers, or in the same profession, or in between the professions. Totally agree with you.
That's true. Anyone else wants to go at it? Feel free to respond.
Yeah, I can. I will proceed. I absolutely agree with Graciela. And when I was thinking about how actually what should be my input here, in order, in a way, to inspire, I recently came to the idea a few days ago while I was doing a Zoom meeting test, preparing for some other meeting. It came in my view. One sentence. They're saying there are more than meetings, and they say discover how you can elevate the way you work by combining webinars, chat, and meetings. So actually, what I find in the most challenging cybersecurity issue or concern, especially having in mind the recent almost 2 years during the pandemic time, is actually spending too much time online, both privately and especially professionally, which means that almost in one step through the night, we, when I say we, I mean as a human beings, but also companies, institutions, and other legal entities need to transform absolutely the way they work, the way they approach the things, and the way they are making decisions, and the way they are doing the task done. Which means it came to my mind that what we need is actually in line with what Graciela said. We need a kind of, I'm talking, since I'm a privacy and data protection expert, I try to concentrate more on building privacy and data protection culture, not only for individuals themselves as being someone in the online environment, but also for companies as well. But then I try to figure it out, how to make companies to see building privacy culture, championing data, to see championing data privacy, not only as the right thing to do, and not only in a way to be in line with all those legal and other requirements, but how to present it in a great way to grow their business. Because in that case, we'll have a kind of win-win situation, which means in the recent months, I was working and doing some trainings with companies in order to show in practice to companies and other entities what is the economic value associated with the company's privacy investment, and how to motivate them, the companies, to do the right things when it comes to data collection and especially to data transfers. And I will share here a few points as a kind of advice and help and a motivation for companies in order to improve their privacy programs, because we know that nowadays, even nowadays, although the pandemic is still a very large part of our daily lives, but we are still not fully in line with what we were prior to the pandemic. I'll mention few just benefits. As I said, most often companies are privacy correct and compliant as a way to avoid any kind of risks or threats. But what about tangible business benefits the companies recognize from continuing investing in different kinds of tools and programs, way beyond harmonizing with norms? Just to mention few of them. First of all, they will gain a competitive advantage. Second, they will optimize a personal data usage. Then they will face with less data breach cases, less costly data breaches, and shorter system stops. Also, they will achieve a higher operational efficiency. And for instance, if they are in a goods and services business, they will shorter sales delays or shorter service delivery. So I will stop here with my kind of advices and I would say strong recommendations related to one of cybersecurity challenges of nowadays, which I see is very important. And I purposely not concentrated on women in cybersecurity nowadays in the first, related to first question, because I wanted to offer something which would be at the same time beneficial to each individual as a human being, no matter the fact whether it is male or female person, and also to help companies to see the benefits. So at the end, that will be beneficial for the whole mankind. Thanks.
Well, thank you. I'm sure a lot of people would benefit from this wisdom, a lot of companies especially. Anyone else wants to pitch in?
Yeah, so just to build upon what Graziela and Ljubica said, any security infrastructure is as strong as its weakest link, being it a human end user or sysadmin that configures the infrastructure, or the IT hygiene and the risks and vulnerabilities a company accepts when it comes to exposure to threats. So I believe that in my personal bubble, in my field, the biggest security challenge building on top of that is building or protecting infrastructures, as I mentioned before, that run on stacks that run on microservices, on containers, on top of Linux, and then taking into consideration also that orchestrators might bring liabilities and risks and credentials that could be exposed. So yeah, a defense in depth that would not interfere with any of this part of the stack, and maintain availability, but also protect our customers is, I believe, the greatest challenge that I'm facing right now. And hopefully we're building the best solution out there, and stopping adversaries as they switch their attention from Windows to Linux. And yeah, keeping them behind and not letting them evolve into something worse than they are already doing.
Maintainability is indeed a challenge for a lot of companies, I think. But yeah, thank you for those insights. Andrada, do you have something you want to share from your journalistic experience?
Yeah, as a journalist, my job is to look at what techies do and try to translate that for the general audience. And two of the things I'm always thinking about when I'm writing stories are, why is this important? And why is this important now? And I feel that when we talk to stakeholders or the general public or colleagues and friends, we are better as women at explaining things, and maybe we should leverage that more. Maybe we should step up and not be afraid to speak our mind, and because one thing is to know something, another thing is to know that, but share it to the audience. And we also maybe have to make an effort to be better communicators at what we are doing, and to maybe do a little bit of PR on the side, just to encourage other women to talk, or to basically say that there are interesting things that are happening right now, and we are the advocates for change. Another thing I'm trying to do as a journalist is to include diverse voices in my stories. And whenever possible, I'm trying to interview women and people that have different backgrounds or come from various geographical locations, so that the picture I'm painting is not that white males are the only people working in cybersecurity right now. So yeah, these were my 2 cents.
Yeah, so I think we can see a pattern of that it relates more to the human. Actually, those the cybersecurity challenges we talked about are actually all related to the human and human perception. I don't know if you, Ljubica, if you raised your hand intentionally. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to share with you that also Andrada had a great concern in the issue which she raised here. And also I wanted to add it here that what we need more, and I find it challenging, is that actually the organizers of the conferences and different kinds of events should have in mind that it's always a good idea to organize a kind of special session dedicated to women questions in cybersecurity. But I find it more valuable if the organizers put more female speakers or more female experts within specialized sessions, because that way, first of all, we'll have the opportunity to present in practice that we are not just women with our female positive characteristics and traits, but we are also experts in the field. And at the same time, we can always use it as an opportunity of coming from the back door to say something more, what will inspire more women to join the cybersecurity community. So I find it both great ways to involve more women in the story. Thanks.
Just to build on what Ljubica said, building on what I said before, which was built on what everything said earlier, there are also two things that I have in mind. One is that it's not enough to have women in technology if we don't have women in leadership positions in technology. And I know that Graziella maybe has something to say about this. So I think skills are super valuable in this area, but we also need to give people the chance to be the best they can be. So I should be a journalist for the next 20 seconds and ask Graziella if she feels that if there are enough women in leadership positions. Sorry, Val.
It is a fantastic topic. I wanted to push that icon with a thumbs up for the last part of the conversation. Thank you. This with women in leadership, it is another long conversation. I'm always mixing up the wording. Is ceiling glass or glass ceiling? Andrada, can you correct me? Are you familiar with this? Is that invisible glass that you can't pass it or you can't overcome it while you are thinking on going up in a hierarchy. And there are many researches and many articles and many books and a lot of resources written exactly for this ceiling glass or glass ceiling regarding women. And while I started a conversation, it was a small project, let's discuss about this topic. When I started to read about this, I was very sad and amazed in the same time because somehow humanity started to research about this somewhere in 1950s. So we are 2021 right now, and we are still discussing about it, and we do not still have some real solutions. Okay, we all talk about this, and there is a progress. Reports and statistics show us that there is a progress, and there is another level of inclusion, and women started to have the courage to take the word and speak and try to be visible, because all of you have said priorly, it is true, like we do have values or valuable women in different areas, not only in technology, but usually we are going to the psychological and also social part and also cultural background, which has an influence on everything. But coming back and just to point out some numbers, it is true that from distance, Romania is staying very well in numbers. It's on the second or the third a few years ago place on women in technology. However, I would be, maybe we will have Andrada sometimes later to discuss. I would be very curious to find an explanation of the following numbers. So we are on a very good shape or a very good position comparing all the other Western countries where we are looking with high appreciation from many perspectives. One link, and I would be very curious for the reasoning behind why this happens to us. And the only information is like factual or absolute information I got is the number of the females in the tertiary grades is much more higher than males. So it's like we have a bigger pool of professionals in tech education which have the opportunity to remain in the field and to do something. But however, things are not very fluid until the very highest levels of the hierarchy in the organization. But it will be very interesting to make the link. Why this? Because I consider, for example, speaking about Romania, because I know the culture, I'm tempted to say we are much more traditionalist and not liberal in terms of supporting women and inclusion and all those things. If you have a point on this, I would be fantastically curious.
Yeah, I wrote something about it. I could share the link if you want. One thing is that culturally, there's something there definitely. So the same thing is happening in Bulgaria. So they are #1 right now in Europe, and a little bit in Russia, and I think across Eastern Europe. And one explanation is that these were one of the first countries that push for equal rights for men and women within their constitutions. And Romania had one of the first engineers in the world, so who were women. So it allowed women to go to school, exactly what you said. And also during communism, women had to have a job, which was not true for certain Western countries. So communists wanted women to go and work and be the superhero of the working class, if you want. So they had to have a job. And if you were to graduate with a degree in math or computer science, that would mean that you're going to be assigned a job in a city, not in the countryside, because all the computing centers were in cities. So that was a passport for having a good life for women. So these are a couple of things that influenced the bigger numbers that are in Romania that are maybe not enough. I think we should do more, and we should try to keep the momentum if possible.
Thank you. I think Ljubica has something to add on this.
Yeah, I wanted to share my experience here in North Macedonia, which is not a part of the European Union, but it's following the legislation and all good practices when it comes to women in cybersecurity and girls. And the statistics are showing that the percentage of girls within the faculty education and higher education of different range are even higher than the male participation, than the boys' participation. But unfortunately, the trouble happened after they finish, although, as you said, it's the same here with higher grades and more successful than male candidates. But the trouble happened a bit later when they come not only in a position to get active on the labor market, but later when they usually come in that period of their personal life when they want to become mothers. and to be professional at the same time, and to get a higher, well-deserved position. And having in mind that the things in cybersecurity are happening, in information change are happening very fast, and unfortunately, all we as human beings can be in step with those challenges, and we are constantly in time race. It's even harder for women in that period of their life, and having in mind the changes in cybersecurity environment, it's even harder for women to follow that step. And what we are right now doing in my country as an organization, as Women for Cyber North Macedonia, we are trying exactly to figure it out. What was the reason? The main reason, there are always several reasons, but what is the main reason why women at some stage of their career path stop to want and to be motivated or able to go higher in their position. So I'll be glad to share when we get the results. We are working, it's a kind of analysis survey, but I will be happy, and for sure we are going to publish those results.
Yes, please share the results once it gets published. For the sake of time, I need to get some speed on the questions. I think we sort of answered the second one already, which was a hot topic you wish people talked more about in the INFOSEC community. And we talked about the human error. We talked about more diversity. Does anyone want to add something to this? Something you wish that we tackled more? And why do you believe it's important? And do you think we're changing in the right direction? If somebody wants to pitch in.
I can have something to add on the list. For sure, we will not reach a conclusion, but it was something which captured my attention the other days. And this was related to a statement like cybersecurity and INFOSEC is approached as a tech function and should be approached as a business function. And this is somehow related to the entire story with the shift in the organizational culture, and it is much linked as well to the education of people, but not only the ones who are performing some operational things, then the link to raising awareness and educating the top management. That means there is a trend. People or the specialists who are required in right now for information security or cyber security, they are required not to have exclusively technical skills. Then they need to have some soft skills. They need to have some social skills. They need to have a wider range of skills, not exclusively technical. And this is reflected as well, or shall be reflected in much more visible and transparent way at the top level of the organization. And that means business functions or finance or executive, higher executives should understand more about digital technology transformation, cyber and everything. But in the same time, of course, we have the expectation that everything which stays in take cyber INFOSEC and the other ones to better understand the business in order to ensure that collaboration we were discussing earlier. So that was my point for this.
Yeah, that's true. Like we mentioned before, it takes everyone to do cybersecurity right, and you need to just work together and find a way to communicate without miscommunication. I think that's indeed like a huge challenge. Does anyone else have input on this? Go ahead, Ljubica.
Thank you. Well, definitely I agree. What we need to see, we need to see the broader picture. Actually, what we always need to have in mind is, first of all, the complexity of cybersecurity itself. We are all aware that if we compare what is seen and as cybersecurity nowadays, is much different what was seen as cybersecurity area a few years ago, and not to mention a decade ago, which means that we always need to have in mind complexity of cybersecurity itself, but also its multi-dimensionality. And it gives an opportunity to more women to get on board, to more women to get on stage in cybersecurity, because there is a plethora of different characteristics, different threats, different various education, various expertise which is needed in cybersecurity. And once and for all, what we need is a real, I call it a real amalgam of male and female characteristics as a precondition for complementarity in practice, which means we need that amalgam to get a complementarity in practice. So in that case, we all as humanity will benefit. Cybersecurity is actually is like putting a jigsaw puzzle together, which means if you miss one part, then you won't have the whole picture, and it won't be the picture that you're trying to image in front of you.
We all know how annoying it is to build a jigsaw puzzle with more than 3 people, right? No, but it's true. And I think it's not only about just men and women, but also just different cultures and teams from different, like you notice that a security team that is built of people from different parts of the world just performs better because they have different experiences. If you put all the same people in the same team, they're only going to talk about what they've experienced. And if they've all experienced the same things, they cannot build the proper threat model that actually models the entire planet Earth. So I think we should indeed have diverse teams, not only men and women, but also just culturally diverse as well. Let's see, Dimitra, do you have anything to say about this?
I tend to agree. I'm part of a multicultural cross-continents team, and I do stand to gain a lot from it. I get different inputs, so many people with different backgrounds, from different organizations, coming with their own experience and with their own input, and that can only help an organization grow. And my experience before being here was similar. I think we were half of the team was female, so it was a new, interesting, empowering way to work. So yeah, I do agree. Having a balance in both, having a balance of views from different backgrounds, different cultures, different experiences do help a lot.
And I think it's evolving in the right direction, to be honest, because there's more companies that try to have these diversity initiatives, and they're implementing it in a good way, I think. So I'm positive about what it's going to be in the next 10 years. And for the last 15 minutes or 10 minutes even, what is something you would advise to a young security specialist? Regardless if it's a woman or a man or from a different background, just someone who's just starting in the field, and based on your experience, what would you advise them? And I'll leave the floor to Graziella.
Yes, I know, I'm the first one. Independently, if we are talking about technology, cybersecurity, men or women, actually, I think the same thing I would like to share with you is applicable for anybody. And I would encourage them to try and to be curious. And this might potentially lead to some passion they might discover, and the energy and the enthusiasm and the integration you might have when you feel you are passionate and being curious about something is cannot be compared with anything. So I believe in intuition, and I don't believe in coincidence. So most of the things I've done, they were some opportunities I've taken at that moment, I don't have any regrets, and I'm happy for the journey I've had. But when I do not feel I am curious and passionate, this is a bell somewhere in my head which is ringing, and I think it's important. I would say it's as simple as possible.
Definitely. Thank you. Dimitra, you have a question in the chat, actually, just relating to the previous statement. Someone in the audience is asking if you could tell us how diverse points of view influence threat research or help in threat research. How you've noticed that it helped in your team. Oh. And then you can answer the next question.
Okay. So coming from different backgrounds, I mean, most of the team have had really diverse experience from military organizations from all over the world, from Australia to US to Europe. We complement each other's knowledge. We each have a piece of the puzzle, as Ljubica said, and the more backgrounds that are working on a profile of an adversary or analyzing their behaviors, the more complete image you get. And also, it's really important to work with opinions that are sometimes in opposition to yours. Because yeah, we are all weak to confirmation bias, and we might look at the things we already know, and we might see things that we want to see, and then having someone with a different point of view, a different background, looking at the same data might point out something that you might miss, or may help you complement and complete the image of the attack.
Yeah, I think it's also, oh, sorry, did someone want to speak or?
Yeah, I was about to answer the second question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, my advice would be to trust your dream, work hard, learn. I don't think I've ever encountered a community as supportive as INFOSEC community. You can literally reach out to anyone on LinkedIn, on Twitter, ask for help, ask for guidance. I've received books, I've lended books, courses, gave out advice. If you want to do it, you can do it, and I think I'm a proof of that.
Yeah, definitely educate yourself. It's nice. To just go back to your point about the culturally diverse teams, when I was doing threat research and just looking at ransomware messages from threat actors, the way they write a ransomware message, you can sort of know where they're from, because if they forget the articles, they're probably Eastern European or these kind of things. So yeah, that's why it's also in the language basis. But Ljubica, would you tell someone who's a complete newbie in cybersecurity?
During one interview, I was asked how do I feel as a woman in an environment which is predominantly male. I answered the question with a smile on my face, and I still feel it that way. I reply, I feel as a strawberry on the top of the cream, which means, and I always use it as a kind of inspiration to all other young girls and young women who want to join. Just to be themselves. I always try to explain that what we need actually is the different approach, the different characteristics, the different way how women in cybersecurity react and get decisions when it comes to some problems or when they need to offer to recommend something. We don't need to imitate, in a way, the way how men approach, how men decide when it comes to different kinds of cybersecurity risks, threats, or situations. Actually, as I said, I will come back to what I said previously, and I think that we all, during our discussion, we all confirmed that that what we need is the complementarity, to see the multidimensionality, to see the complementarity, to try to get on the stage what we as women have, and to try, first of all, on one side, to provoke changes in the mentality in the country, to provoke changes in the culture, how the society is seeing the things when it comes to cybersecurity, and especially to work with companies, because having in mind that companies are profit-oriented, and they are the entities, they are the link which is making the most money. And we all know, although we don't want to admit publicly, that the money is driving the world. So that's why what we need is also to work on several levels. First of all, to work with societies, to change the perception of cybersecurity, to educate, to give the opportunities for each girl and women to see what it really means, to offer them a real chance, what it means to be involved in cybersecurity. So as all previous speakers already said, what we need is motivation. It's a kind of honest approach to ourselves. And of course, we need an inspiration and help coming from others. So we are all here actually discussing about that, how to be an inspiration. Because I always, when I try to inspire some girl during a mentorship program, I'm also, I think I'm even more inspired than the girl, because it's a way how you get the energy and how you give the positive energy back.
Actually, on what you said, there's a question in the audience about, and that's for everybody in this panel, and then I'll get to you, Andrada. What would be concrete steps you have taken in order to ensure the fair participation of women in the workforce? For example, maternity leave or the bias in hiring and promoting. Have you taken these steps in your jobs to ensure that it gets better? And what were those concrete steps? I think you can start, Ljubica.
Well, we as an organization, Women for Cyber, we are working on different levels and activities. Concretely, right now in North Macedonia here, we are working and we already succeeded actually to get women on board when it comes to building cybersecurity strategy in the country, to make them very active in that spirit. And also we work on not only on legislation measures and legislation text and laws in the country to get to promote women possibilities to get in cybersecurity, but actually when it I will mention just one of the measures which find it out, it was very important during the pandemic time, because we all know that the pandemic had a lot of negative consequences, but also for men and women. But for women, they were even higher. The negative consequences of the pandemic were even higher for women. So we get our success was that working with our government, we get to a position when one of the measures helping women to overcome the situation with the pandemics when it comes to cybersecurity area, to get more funds and to get a special fund which is dedicated to women in cybersecurity, and actually how to support them as freelancers and as someone which is a kind of exporter of services from home but outside the country.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to answer the audience question?
I have one question. Are we running out of time, or should we give Andrada the word for responding to your last question? And if
Yes.
there is still some time, I can have 2 words about this as well.
Yeah, go ahead and answer. I'm controlling time on this track,
Okay,
so
okay,
everyone
perfect.
gets 5 more minutes.
I wanted to respond as well to this question, because somehow I feel responsible from my position of being president of ISACA Romania chapter. At the global level, there are a lot of initiatives and programs for this. I'm not very proud. We haven't progressed too much in implementing them in Romania. I would say we need more energy in the collaborative part, or in the collaboration part. We have discussed about this today. But in the same time, I wanted to share with you some practical actions which have been taken, part of an initiative in the corporation I'm working for, and it was this is my interphone. I will leave it to ring. Sorry for this.
We love Beethoven.
Yes, which would have been the coincidence to ring right now. Just wanted to mention that there are corporations where some initiatives has been started, because this is the trend in the same time in the society, we've run some workshops trying to better understand the challenges and the needs of everybody, but especially of the women, and from different perspectives, from the shoes of being professional, from the shoes of being a mother, for the shoes of being planning to be a mother. And the scope of the entire workshop was to put together some ideas and try to implement them through HR function. Of course, without it, we can't do anything in a corporation. But it was a nice start for this inclusion initiative at the corporate level.
Yeah, just to continue that idea, I work for a radio station in Bucharest, which is a general audience radio station. It's called Pro FM. And one of the things that I'm doing is to try to involve my male colleagues into talking about issues that are normally applied to women. So I do have one colleague in the newsroom, and every piece of news that is connected with women's rights is assigned to him. And I told him, George, it's one thing if I go live and talk about breastfeeding in public places, and another thing if you go there and you do that, because we need to partner with men, and we need to have a few of them to advocate for our rights. And just by watching this computer screen right now and looking at our faces, I realized that we are 5 successful women, and maybe a lot more in the audience. We're quite accomplished. We've done great things independently or together. But I'm thinking that for every person here in this panel, there are thousands of women who have never had the chance to be here or to have an education in STEM. Maybe many of them have been discouraged throughout their lives. Maybe they were told that you're not smart enough to learn math or computer science. And this is also a thing we should tackle and be supportive and donate our time and resources to help the new generation. And perhaps this is a way of tackling this. And another point, and I promise this is the last one, I think we should involve women in every possible way, and men, and make women part of designing security products, of supporting each other get a management position that would impact all of us and everyone who's doing a good work within the community. And hopefully during the following editions of DefCamp, we'll have more fantastic women in the audience. And it is super important to grow together and have like a great vibe throughout the community.
Definitely. I think you raise a really good point here, that we shouldn't alienate women from men. It's we're all in this together, right? We're all in this world together. We should work together and make this a good place for everyone, regardless of gender or culture or anything. And I'm gonna give the final word to Dimitra, and then we'll wrap up this panel, I think, if you have anything else to add about the last question.
Yeah, my role doesn't have too much input in decision making, but what I can say from my experience is that I was fortunate enough to not experience any gatekeeping or any disadvantage for being a woman in cybersecurity. And what I would like to see more is women to just have more trust in themselves and in their technical capabilities and apply for that job. It is for you as well. So we currently have an opening in the team, and I'm pretty sure no women applied so far. So please do so. If you like threat hunting and cybersecurity, and you'd like to do this job, please apply.
Yeah, and threat hunting is great. Yeah, so I think this brings us to the end of our panel. There is one more question in the audience. I don't know, Andrada, if we have time for this last question. If we keep it short, you will do?
Sure. Go ahead.
How do you think women can receive more respect when they are in a management position in the cybersecurity field? It's a tough question. So if you can answer this, if anyone can answer this in one sentence, I will worship you.
I can start. I haven't experienced situations where lack of respect was on the table. So maybe we have had, let's say, challenges in discussions, different point of view, conflicts, but I would take them as professional conflicts, not personal one. So maybe I'm fortunate and I haven't experienced such, and hopefully I wish you to do not experience such situations.
One thing, if I could add, would be to build alliances, because there are many people that would support you if you're good at what you do, and they already respect you. And you can also help create a culture that respects everyone if you're on a management position, and also approach journalists and talk to them about your work, and raise your profile.
I think also at least from the accounts that I've heard, it was not disrespect from manager to her employees, but more with other managers that are, let's say, mostly men, and then she's a manager and they don't take her seriously. And I think this is indeed linked to company culture. This is just a culture problem and not a problem at this small island, let's say. So you really need to try to figure out if your employees are respectful because, they all look like this person, or they are respectful in general of everybody. But this is a very difficult screening. You have to psychologically profile everyone and see if they fit in your culture. But I do think that if you notice that there's a culture misfit, like not a fit for the culture, that you need to take action. At least instead of letting it slide. If you have such incidents of disrespect towards anyone, you need to tackle it. You don't let it slide, because otherwise it's going to stay and it might inspire others to also be disrespectful. It's hard to prevent, but easy to detect. I think that's something. If no one has anything else to add, then I guess we can wrap up. Then thank you, everyone. I think we were a bit late, 10 minutes later, but that happens all the time in conferences. So I guess we're fine. Thank you so much for the panelists to give their valuable insights. And I hope we could inspire some people or just help them in their daily jobs do better security and better human error fixing, let's say, because I think that's the conclusion of this panel. It's not about the technical challenges, it's more a social challenge, I guess. But yeah, thank you so much for being there, and Andrada for filling the empty spots. And
Happy
yeah,
to do it.
I guess we'll see you around, and hopefully at DefCamp physical, right? Next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, ladies. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.